been a while since we've done one of these, but I've done DVD reviews on Dragon Ball Z, Dragon Ball Super, but I've never actually looked at Dragon Ball, the one that started it all. You know, this one's really funny. Whenever I would bring this up with people, a lot of people are not like big fans of Dragon Ball. That's some people. The people that I've talked to always saying that they thought it was boring because they're like comparing it to Dragon Ball Z. Everyone is comparing this series to this series right here, Dragon Ball Z. And you know, the thing is, what's the difference between these two series? It's actually a lot different with them, and then there's a lot that's also the same. You will definitely see that Dragon Ball it had like a much different objective, really. It wasn't really all about the big fights. It was more about like the story, the charm, the scope of the world, the big adventure. And that's really the big word there. Adventure. There's some adventure in Dragon Ball Z. I think mostly you see the adventure part in the first season with Gohan and Piccolo. You know, when Gohan's pretty much left on his own. I did a review on that way back. It's only really like a 2-minute video. But that pretty much gives my general ideas on. Not much has changed. Season 1 of Dragon Ball Z has always been one of my favorites. I don't know if it still maintains like the favorite position, but that is still a really good kickoff to that series. There's something very magical about that first season, but there's a lot of magic in this. So I bought all of the Dragon Ball DVDs, and I'm going to be looking at all of them, and I'll talk about them video by video, but I brought them all up to season 5. And first I bought this series off of eBay, and I was like, oh, I got like a really good deal. All the DVDs, new shrink wrapped for $50, even like less than that actually. It was like 40 something. And I looked at them and I was like, I remember seeing them on my friend's shelf when I went over his house, because he's got all the Dragon Ball Kai Blu-rays. He's got the whole collection. He also has these. And I was like, isn't there something a little different about the spines? Like, this is the genuine article, because I actually returned those, got a full refund. But I was looking on YouTube. You know, I use a great research tool, the very website that we're on. And I looked, I was like, isn't there something a little bit different about the spines on these DVDs? And sure enough, I was absolutely right. They were fakes. They were bootlegs. So I returned them all. Now, the quality on these DVDs was amazing. They were some really good looking DVDs. There was some weird stuff with them, I noticed. They would kind of cut out every now and again. It was a little bit weird, and I would have to rewind it. I don't know if it's because I have my Xbox. It was hooked up through my Elgato capture card, so I think it might have been interfering with that. But whatever it was, I haven't had that same problem with the genuine DVDs. But they're very impressive. You guys got to go look on YouTube for those videos, and you see the comparison. There's such an intricate job they did bootlegging them. Like everything, the only way you could really tell is really by the way how the box looks. And you could look at the DVDs, but it's a really, really good bootleg. I have to say, by bootleg standards, it's like the creme de la creme. It's the best. But yeah, when it comes to Dragon Ball, I had to have the real thing, because it's been a while since I've seen this series. And honestly, I don't think that I saw the whole thing when it was on Cartoon Network. It was kind of like I was kind of growing out by this time. They put it on, I think, like about 2003 or so. And kind of my Dragon Ball interest was kind of waning, because I was kind of like at that age, being an older teenager, and just kind of not really caring about it as much. And then I kind of found my love of it, thanks to a friend, actually. when I started working at one of my first jobs. It was working at well, it wasn't my first job, but working at Target. I had made a friend, and he reintroduced me in my early 20s to Dragon Ball Z again. Reintroduced me, and I was like, oh yeah, that's right. I used to really enjoy this a lot, because I went from like no Dragon Ball Z at all to like watching it and buying all the DVDs. So now I was like, I gotta watch Dragon Ball. I have to watch it. And that's what I'm doing right now. I'm in the third season. Not really, though. It's kind of weird because this is the thing. We'll talk really about this DVD right here. This is season 1. And the interesting thing about these DVDs is they do the exact opposite what these DVDs did. They basically prolong the seasons, because Dragon Ball is only really 6 seasons, but if you go by the orange bricks, you think that there was 9, and that's just not how it was, and it wasn't even in that way in the US. And I always like thought that to myself. I was like, there's not 9 seasons. I don't remember that being so. You know, so what they did is, this is actually on this DVD is both the first and second season. So despite what it says on the box, and when you fire up the DVD in your DVD player, it's not really just season 1. You're getting season 1, season 2. So it's definitely a great deal, and a far better deal than what they're doing with Dragon Ball Super, where they're dividing up seasons and just making you buy a shitload of Blu-rays, 10 in all, and DVDs. And don't even get me started. I even found out that the first season, I think, and even the second season actually ended up being bootleg DVDs. Again, amazing quality. The outside of it looks just amazing. I'm just going to show it to you again, because this is still related. I don't mean to get off topic, but this is actually, believe it or not, this is a bootleg DVD. And you're saying, like, well, that looks pretty authentic to me, doesn't it? Well, the way you could tell right away is the way how this is cut out over here. It's like a big gaping cutout, and it's not supposed to be that way. So it's a fake as far as I know. And also, I had gotten it off of eBay, and they are rampant. There's even on Amazon, not even on the marketplace, but actually, like, you just search it and you click on it, there is bootlegs on there too. So it's total madness that they're even allowing that on Amazon. Because you think, like, Amazon, like, oh, I'm not going to go on eBay because that's where that will happen. No, it happens on Amazon too. So, but that's the thing. You could get a lot of bootlegs that way, because there's 10 DVDs or Blu-rays to collect when it comes to that series. So with this, there's just 5. So, you know, they condense everything down, and it's real nice. Now, this is how you kick off a show right here. Season 1 is just fucking phenomenal. I mean, if you want to talk about charm, if you've not seen Dragon Ball, and I know there's a lot more people, because Dragon Ball Z is like 3, 4, 5 times more popular than Dragon Ball. And it's because of the fights. It's because, you've got them all powered up. People are going Super Saiyan. There's all these different forms. The lore was expanded. Yeah, I think, like, there's definitely more lore to be had in Dragon Ball Z. There's just more, I feel like, of everything. Here, the world feels big. But there's still a lot of characters. There's just not a lot of power. There's not a lot of, like, powering up. You don't see as many big blasts. Like, you get there's not as many energy blasts. There's the Kamehameha wave, which is, right there in the first season. But, you don't get all these massive, huge battles, with creating craters in the Earth's crust and just crazy things like the planet exploding with Boo. You just don't get that stuff in Dragon Ball. That's why I think a lot of people have relegated towards boring. But I think these people maybe just watch 1 or 2 episodes, and it is definitely slower paced. But the thing is, there is a lot of times in Dragon Ball where it is slower paced. I have to always say, and I believe I mentioned this when I reviewed Season 3 of Dragon Ball Z, talk about the Goku and the Frieza fight. But there's too much to enjoy, really, where I could really complain. But it is kind of funny when you think about it, the 5 minutes until Namek explodes. So you can't really say that Dragon Ball goes too slow because the story is always progressing. You might not be having huge, massive fights all the time. But even in Dragon Ball Z, things are kind of paced out. So I never really understood why, everyone thinks it's all action all the time in Dragon Ball Z, and Dragon Ball is just, that's the one that just has more dialogue and more comedy. It's more silly, and that it is. It really stakes its claim on charm. And I said, it's more about the adventure. There are plenty of fights. Goku is always getting into fights and everything like that. But, he's powered down. He's, not this Super Saiyan God. He's not going Super Saiyan Blue. He's not going even Super Saiyan. You're not seeing, Kaioken. You're not seeing all these huge advanced attacks. You're not. The word Saiyan is never even mentioned, and it wasn't even a thing in Dragon Ball. So that is the thing. You get a lot less of that, but everything that it doesn't have. See, and that's the weird thing. That's like the effect that it had on the US. It's because it was introduced to us after Dragon Ball Z, so therefore we saw all this action and all these different forms and, crazier creatures and everything. And there's plenty of, crazy villains in this, but they're not the huge, massive, super powered, characters that you get. Like, you're not going to see anyone like Frieza or Cell. No one that's threatening the whole universe. There's villains that threaten the planet, threaten that very moment, and threaten a village. But you're never really getting any of those guys that could blow up a fucking planet. Later on you get Demon King Piccolo, of course, but that's not until later on in the later seasons. So you're getting basically a pretty charming story here, an adventure. It starts off, and who's the big threat you have? You have Emperor Pilaf. That's how we start things off. And he's a good comedic villain where, he seems like a threat, and they do get him in a spot. They do capture Goku, Bulma, and the gang and everything. And that's the thing. You really get time to see how these characters interact with one another. Goku, and you see Bulma and how he met Bulma, and Yamcha, and you see how he's interacting with Krillin. There's just so much more time to adjust to these characters. Because when you kind of think about it, Dragon Ball Z just kind of drops you in, and you know about Goku. You see that he's lighthearted. You see that, he enjoys a good fight. You see that he has a charming personality. And you see the charm right away being thrown around. But, they drop us into a fight right away in Dragon Ball Z. Remember, we're right there with Raditz. We're off to the races. We're already knee-deep in the Saiyan saga. Here, they kind of ease you in a little bit more. You've got Goku. He goes up against, a pterodactyl. They kind of ease in nice and slow. They don't throw a huge villain like Raditz, in your path right away. It's kind of a little bit more eased in. And that I kind of could appreciate, when you get time, who's Bulma? What is she doing? You see how Goku and Bulma team up to find the Dragon Balls. And, there's good dialogue exchange. It's a comedy right away. And you see that, but there's also something behind this. It's not just a silly little fun gag anime. It's not like that. It's there's a story here. There's an adventure. You're excited to see. Oh, where are they going to go? Where exactly are they going to find these Dragon Balls? Where's the Dragon Ball radar going to take them? So there's a lot of mystery and intrigue, and the name Dragon Ball. It's like Dragon Ball Z. They're really used more as a plot device, but here's more of the adventure of them looking for the Dragon Balls, and you see that journey of them actually going to find these mystical orbs, and that's really where the adventure really comes in, and that's where Dragon Ball is more of the adventure, and Dragon Ball Z kind of uses the balls to revive people, bring people back to life. I mean, when have you not seen them use that? Which here it is, you've got Emperor Pilaf, who wants to use the Dragon Balls to take over the world. And you've got this silly character right away. I mean, think about it. You got Raditz, you have like a badass Saiyan right away. And then you got Pilaf, who's really this, under height, short little elf. They'd go on to basically copy this character as Garlic Jr. in the Dead Zone, and he would receive his own little mini saga, of course, his little side story in Dragon Ball Z. But for people that are not familiar with Dragon Ball, when these characters popped up in Dragon Ball Super, people were probably thrown for a loop. Because I know for a fact there was people, I know them personally, that just jumped into Super. They skipped right over Dragon Ball. And it is true, you really don't need to watch Dragon Ball to understand Dragon Ball Z. I think you'll definitely appreciate Goku and how he's grown as a fighter and grown as a character. And you'll see Master Roshi, and you'll see Krillin, and you'll see Yamcha, and you'll see Bulma. And you really see, like, well, they've been there from the very beginning. You'll see, like, really how closely knit they are. You'll see why Goku trusts Bulma so much. You'll see why these characters interact the way they do in Z. So, and to me, actually, even though it may not be like essential, it sort of is essential. It really is something that should not be ignored. And this, if you want fighting, I mean, really, you got to turn your eyes to the second season, which is on the season 1 DVD, because that makes sense. But you've got the World Tournament, and this tournament is just it's a great tournament to watch when you have Master Roshi disguising himself as Jackie Chun, so Krillin and Goku don't know who he is. And this is just like a knockdown, drag-out brawl, and it is so entertaining to watch. It's really one of the best fights that you will see in the Dragon Ball saga, because you know what it is? It's a crazy fight, but it's not too crazy. It's still more grounded. And the techniques that they use and the things that Master Roshi uses to try to defeat Goku, and he's struggling with them, and it is such like an even battle. It's really good, and if you have not seen it, it is definitely a must, because for all the people that say there's not enough big fights in Dragon Ball and that it's boring and it's more dull than Z, then this is the fight that you need to watch. Now, I'd recommend you watch in its proper context. But it is definitely a fight worth your time. And, if you watch this, like, you're definitely going to want to jump into the next DVD. You're going to want to jump into the third season right away, which is on the season 2 DVD, And the other thing here, the only thing I will say is, for me, I've talked about this in the past, I do not watch things with subtitles. It totally takes me out of the experience, having to read through a whole thing for a language that I don't understand. I respect people who do, watch it with the original Japanese because they want that authentic experience. But I gotta say, like, some of the edits in here, they should have really just translated it over into English, and they do. The dub is good. The dub is entertaining, and a lot of times what I like to do is I will keep the subtitles on. Now, it's really weird. Even though it's English subtitles, you actually can't watch these DVDs. It's the same thing with the orange bricks. You can't watch these DVDs with the actual English subtitles that reflect the English dub, which is always very weird to me. So it's basically like you only get the English subtitles, and they're really intended for when you watch in Japanese. But you can see what the characters would originally say in the actual original Japanese. So I always do that. I watch Dragon Ball Super that way as well. Except you can't do that on Hulu, which I'm actually watching it now because they put it on there. So I've taken a break from collecting the DVDs as long as it stays on Hulu when I watch Super. But it is really a great way of recommending it if you're going to watch any of the home media versions, whether it be the Blu-rays or DVDs. I think it's a good way to experience the best of both worlds. And it's really annoying because I really notice that when the dialogue gets dirty, because that's the other thing I was going to say. This is way more dirty and adult than really anything in Z. I knew that it was a little bit, more adult oriented, a little bit more adult humor, but the stuff they show you with Master Roshi and everything, it will knock your socks off. I'm watching this and I'm like, people are actually calling this boring. And you've got Master Roshi just perving like crazy in this thing, and it is absolutely hilarious. If you're a fan of the moments when they show Master Roshi, and even though his appearances are not that frequent, I mean, he's a main character here in Dragon Ball. And you get to see Launch, which her name is Lunch in Japan. That is another thing that I really am happy that they did change with the localization and dub. That was actually a great move. This is a great character. And I really love, this is the character that when she sneezes, she becomes her alter ego and she becomes like a raving homicidal lunatic. It is a great character that they totally forgot about after the first season of Dragon Ball Z. You see her, and I always wondered about this. I'm like, she's got the hots for Tien, and then she just flat out disappears. And I didn't even recognize her, but she is actually one of the ones that gives Goku some of her energy when he's calling for the Spirit Bomb to throw at Majin Buu at the end of the last season of Z. So, you know, this is a character, and you see her, she's there all the time. Another, like, main character. That maybe more so of a side character, but she's like a really kind of main side character. She's living there with Master Roshi, for God's sakes. And they totally forgot about her in Z. And Akira Toriyama actually said he forgot about her. That, like, he just couldn't figure out how to work her, and then he just kind of... how do you work on that many seasons and you completely forget about one of your, maybe not your best creations, but it's definitely a great, charming character. And that's the thing, every character that's introduced in this, every plot line, even if it's a minor character, there's always a little bit of charm, there's always creativity. There's very little in this that is cliche or that you've seen before. They're always thinking of new ideas, and I will say that Z is very, very creative, and I'm not saying that I like Dragon Ball more than Z. I actually don't know what I like, but I will just say that the gap between them has definitely closed a little bit, because I have to say, I was charmed to fuck when it came to rewatching this. I didn't even appreciate it to the level that I do now. I mean, there's so much to love about this. But back to what I was saying about the dub. They did kind of fuck up a little bit with this. I don't know why they left certain things in with Bulma, like the scene with Bulma flashing Master Roshi. She doesn't realize that she's not wearing any underwear because Goku took them off, and I'm not even kidding, that actually happens in this if you weren't aware of that. They tried to edit certain things where, you know, Goku is asking Bulma about herself, you know, because he's never seen another human besides his grandfather, which is a really interesting plot device. Goku is so innocent, and you will see, that is why it is the perfect lead into Z. You will see why Goku sometimes appears to be stupid or ignorant or dumb or airheaded. It's because he is. And you'll see why that is. Because, you know, the old expression, were you raised in the woods? Well, he was. And it really shows. And you'll see, like, why he doesn't have manners and, you know, why he eats the way he does and why it's, like, bred into him. Because he was raised in a little shack in the woods. And I think that is just, that's a great story. He doesn't even know that he's from outer space. He doesn't even know that he transforms into a giant monkey, which you will see the origins of. And you will see Goku with his tail. And this is a very important part of Dragon Ball history that you're missing out on with this. But yeah, one of the biggest things that you'll notice when Pilaf finally gets the Dragon Balls together, he steals them away from Goku and company, and he's about to call on the Eternal Dragon, Shenron, and, you know, the dragon comes out. Goku and his friends are captured. They're watching helplessly from the sidelines as Pilaf is about to make his ultimate, you know, world-dominating wish. And here comes Oolong, which is, you know, another character that, you know, is a great character, comes and he wishes for the world's most comfortable pair of underwear. But as everybody knows that's like really read about this, the original line is that he wishes for panties. And, you know, you see them and you clearly see that they're girls' underwear. But why did they feel the need to edit this when they still had a lot of stuff that's visually left in there that's kind of graphic? I don't get it. I mean, it kind of ruins the joke. I mean, it kind of amplifies it, you know, that oolongs are perv when they try to just say, like, the world's most comfortable pair of underwear. It just, and I even saw they even added that into the dub, I guess for consistency's sake, with Dragon Ball Super. When they flash back to using the Dragon Balls, they show that sequence. You know, it's the same voice actor and everything. It's like, okay, but you know, it doesn't kind of really make sense when you kind of factor it in. And I notice, you know, whenever Master Roshi's talking to Bulma, you know, about one of the favors he wants her to do for him, you know, he's always perving on Bulma. And you saw that a little bit in Z, but just very briefly. It's like, it's pretty constant here. But there's always stuff like taking a walk with him, or, you know, giving him a kiss, and that's not really what he originally says. So, you know, I kind of get like, okay, maybe we could ease off on the perviness a little bit and still kind of make him pervy, but they should have just left it alone and translated it as is. I mean, when they would show Dragon Ball, it was late at night on Toonami. It's on the DVDs, and, you know, I get it. You're basically getting what was on Toonami on the DVDs, but, like, yeah, as much as I like to watch this in the dub, there were never that many big changes with Z because it really wasn't that dirty. There wasn't really, they didn't really do a lot of jokes in Z, if you notice. Like, only like once in a while would you get like a funny moment or funny reaction. It was mostly due to things that Goku was saying and Vegeta reacting to it or something else like that. You kind of got those reactions coming back in Super, which I absolutely love, and I explain this, that Super is basically a combination of the two, and that's why I think Super is a work of genius. And I see a lot of people are not that crazy about Super, you know, but it kind of reminds me of Dragon Ball, and I guess maybe that's the thing. People think that style's a little too comedic, a little too silly. They want it to be like Z, where it's pretty damn serious, like, for the majority of the time, but they still throw in things there with charm, which, like I said, it's one of the most charming shows ever that I've ever watched. But yeah, aside from that, there's more opportunities, I think, to edit things in Dragon Ball. I think certain points they got a little carried away with the dub, so that's really my biggest criticism. But it doesn't really affect things too much. It doesn't change the plot or anything, but it does change some of the jokes. There are certain jokes, and I did notice there are certain things that they did word better, where they kind of are, I guess maybe when you say certain things in Japanese, I know that, like, the tone is different, but here, you know, when I'm looking at it just in plain English, it definitely sounds better that they changed and added some words and spiced certain things up. They added also certain things in when you know, characters weren't moving their mouths and they get the opportunity to add in another line of dialogue. It's well placed, and I think it's done. So it's a good dub. I mean, they always do a good job. It's just they should have just left a lot of the original jokes the same, and they could have tightened some of them up without really changing the overall meaning of the joke. And they did get a lot better with that with Dragon Ball Super, but they, you know, but they're, once again, even Super is not as dirty as this sometimes. I can't stress enough that sometimes it will shock you. You wouldn't really expect this after watching Z. And I could kind of see why they might have been a little bit, you know, timid to put some of these things on, even though they were in a good time slot to actually air them with the original lines in place. But like I said, I can kind of understand the argument there. It is kind of risque. Nowadays, people would really flip their shit. I mean, let me tell you something. I don't think that any SJW on the planet would be able to even make it past the first season, the first couple of episodes of Dragon Ball. There is stuff that people would find offensive out the wazoo. But yeah, this is fantastic. It's a fantastic first season. I absolutely love it. If you have not watched this series, I would definitely say start from the beginning, get the DVDs. You could also subscribe to Funimation's streaming service. You could watch it free on there, but they're going to hit you with a fuckload of commercials, so I would not really recommend that route, but do what you can to watch it. And if you really want to see the original Japanese, no dub available, it's on Hulu. So I would say take advantage of that. Anyway, guys, I hope you all enjoyed the video. If you'd like to see me review Season 2 of the DVD, which starts with actual Season 3, like I said before, let me know in the comments down below. What do you think about Dragon Ball? What is your favorite Dragon Ball series? Do you like Z? Do you like the original Dragon Ball, the one I'm talking about? Or do you like Dragon Ball Super? I kind of have a feeling a lot of people are going to say Z in the comments. I'm kind of readying myself for that. But let me know what you want, guys. I'd really like to know. Let's talk about it. It's interesting discussions. You can see I really like talking about Dragon Ball. But yeah, so subscribe if you haven't already. Click the bell so you get all the notifications when I post all my new videos. I want to thank all my patrons for your continued support. And thanks again, guys. I'll see you next time.